تعتبر النمسا بموقعها المتميز وطبيعتها الخلابة واحدة من أجمل الوجهات الأوروبية للسياحة، حيث الغابات والمساحات الخضراء والقمم المغطاة بالثلوج والبحيرات الرقراقة والقصور التاريخية والمتاحف والمسارح التي تجذب ملايين السياح. وهي أيضاً أرض الفنانين والعلماء، وبلد الشعراء والكتاب والروائيين والرسامين والمعماريين، وموطن الموسيقى الكلاسيكية الأوروبية التي أنجبت عباقرة أمثال يوهان شتراوس وموتزارت وهايدن وغيرهم. وبالإضافة إلى ذلك فإنها في حاضرها تتمتع بأفضل أشكال التنمية المادية والإنسانية والنهضة العلمية والاقتصادية، لتكون من أفضل الدول في نمط ومستوى المعيشة.
Well, thank you for coming to my residence. My name is Georg Pöstinger. I'm the Austrian ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia since 2019. And I'm not here for the first time, I'm here repeatedly on a post. I was already 6 years here as a deputy ambassador from 2009 to 2014. So I consider myself, I often make a joke and say, well, I'm part of the inventory already of the kingdom, but I'm very proud to be here and to serve to the kingdom. Well, you know, Saudi today is not Saudi what it used to be before. So I witnessed two Saudi Arabia, if you allow to say so, and yet both were very good. So I always had, and this I can tell you at the very beginning, only positive experiences. And it's true, never a single negative experience in the kingdom. Now, of course, you have a broad range of possibilities, whether it is entertainment, whether it is good fine dining, you have it all. So this is a big, big change. So when I came back in 2019, it was some of a very new experience for me, because I knew Riyadh especially like my pocket, and yet I had the impression of being in a wrong play. You know, the stage was the same, but the play was a different one. And this took me actually a few months to understand what is going on in the country now, and then you forget very quickly how it used to be before. Since I come from a mountainous country, I like a lot the Asir, I have to be honest. I like a lot the north as well, which is beautiful. The landscape around Al Ula is, I think, one of the most stunning I've ever seen in my life. So is the desert, because you have the real desert here. And the way of shapes of dunes, etc., it is breathtaking. And I remember we brought once a minister of ours during a visit here to the Rub al Khali, and everyone was stunned. They just did not talk anymore, but just looking. How beautiful it is. So you see already, and then of course you have the shores, which are perhaps some of the finest still existing. And to this regard, also I appreciate very much how carefully Saudi Arabia approaches tourism in this respect, in order to maintain also the fauna and flora of the kingdom. So we are a country of 9 million inhabitants, so we are not a huge country in terms of population. Therefore, Our community here is about 500, but it's a very loyal community to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They have working positions in managing, high-ranking managing positions. They are in the technical field a lot, medical field, and of course also Austrians who are running companies here. So we have a few companies producing in Saudi Arabia, and they are also headed by Austrians. All of them, as far as I can see, because 500, as I said, it's not a large number, and I know them, nearly all of them personally. So I have a good feedback from them. And again, there is nothing negative. They are happy here, and you could see it also through the pandemic. They all stayed. We didn't have the problem of evacuating people, not at all. I could say that it is a series of highlights, and it started very early when we opened up our resident embassy, as you said, several decades ago. So it was the medical field that started. We had top royals, especially also the late King Saud. We had ministers, members of the royal family. They traveled to Austria, to Vienna, for also medical treatment, etc. So this was one of our first point we could highlight here in the kingdom. Well, nowadays we have a large variety of engagements. We have an extremely dense exchange of high-level visits. I mean, right now, as we're speaking, His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman is in Vienna and meeting my minister, foreign minister, as well as the Minister of Economy and Energy of Austria. So this is important because we keep, so to say, ourselves in a permanent loop of exchange, which also shows that we have a huge respect for each other. It shows that we can combine forces in order to achieve, not only in the bilateral but also on a multilateral level, common endeavors. So it is, I would say, it is of course a sequence of highlights throughout all these decades.
لا شك أن العلاقات هي فعلا وطيدة وتاريخية. علاقات المملكة العربية السعودية مع النمسا بدأت منذ ما يقرب من رسميا بدأت من ما يقرب من 60 عام، ولكن سبق ذلك الكثير من العلاقات التي زار فيها المستشرقين النمساويين المملكة وأجروا دراساتهم وأبحاثهم، ويعني تعلموا عن المملكة العربية السعودية حتى قبل اكتمال توحيدها. العلاقات استمرت في الحراك بين الدولتين خلال هذه 60 سنة بعد أن تم توقيع مجموعة من الاتفاقيات المتعلقة بعضها بالتعاون الاقتصادي، بعضها بالتعاون الاستثماري، بعضها متعلقة بمنع الازدواج الضريبي، وهذه طبعا كلها يعني بنية تحتية مهمة جدا للتعاون الاقتصادي. وكذلك لما ننظر إلى عدد الوفود المتبادلة بين الدولتين سيلاحظ هناك كثافة في الوفود الزائرة والوفود المغادرة، أو الزائرة للمملكة والزائرة للنمسا. فكلها هذه علامات إيجابية عن طبيعة العلاقات، عن وضع العلاقات، واهتمام الطرفين بدعم هذه العلاقات على المدى المتوسط والطويل، والتوسع في العلاقات خارج إطار الاقتصاد، سواء كان في الأمور الثقافية أو الأمور التعليمية والتدريبية. ولا ننسى أن كثير من أطبائنا السعوديين الذين بدأوا تقديم خدمات طبية في المملكة كانوا من المبتعثين إلى النمسا.
We're a small country, but we are considered a world power in terms of cultural activities and cultural life. Here there is a huge interest also from the Saudi side. We are engaging a lot. You have, of course, you have the entertainment side, which is one field, so to say, which is much easier. And of course, you can do also in the short run a lot of projects. So we have musicians coming in, artists, visual art, performing in the kingdom, working together also with Saudi artists, working together also in the EU framework. We have now soon a mural artwork which is in Jax, and it is a fantastic cooperation of all kind of different nationalities. Then of course we have what we call the cultural policy, and here we have again a very, very big interest from the Saudi side, but that's something which we have to build up over the years. So it's an exchange of best practice. So where can we partner? Where can we support the Saudi to reach their own goals? Is there good ideas from our side? We have patterns, since many years, decades, even centuries in the cultural field. And this is a more ongoing process, but very fruitful one. We are very happy that Austria is one of the main destinations for Saudi tourists. We had before COVID 135,000 Saudis traveling to my country. It's about 330,000 overnight stays. I don't have the number for this year, but this year exceeds, as we can roughly calculate, all previous years. And I'm very proud that my country is host, and as it seems, a good host to so many Saudis who travel to all of Austria. By the way, I also hope that we can give something back one day and bring as many people back to Saudi, since Saudi opened up as a tourist destination. And we do already have tourists here, which they too are all fascinated by the beauty of the landscape and the variety of the landscape and the cultural heritage in the country.
هناك مجموعة من الأدوات التي تستخدمها المملكة وتستخدمها جمهورية النمسا ليس فقط ضمان استمرار العلاقات، ولكن كذلك الاستمرار في تطويرها. كما ذكرت سابقا موضوع الابتعاث وتعليم أبنائنا في النمسا، ووجود هيئات مثل السفارة السعودية في النمسا والسفارة النمساوية في المملكة. هذه كلها أدوات مهمة للدفع بالعلاقات إلى الأمام. يعني من ضمن النشاطات الملحوظة هو الجزئية الثقافية وتنظيم منذ عدة سنوات تنظيم الفنانين التشكيليين السعوديين لمعرضهم لأحد معارضهم في فيينا. وفيما يختص بالقطاع الاقتصادي أو الاستثماري أو التجاري، يلعب مجلس الأعمال السعودي النمساوي واتحاد الغرف السعودية دور كبير في العمل على فتح أبواب جديدة، ولا أقول الاستمرار في الأبواب القديمة، ولكن كذلك فتح أبواب جديدة أمام رجال وسيدات الأعمال من الجانبين، من ضمنها هذه النشاطات المتعلقة بعقد الندوات وعقد المؤتمرات وتبادل الوفود. هذه مهمة جدا للوصول إلى النتائج المرجوة.
The Vision 2030 is without any doubt, and here I can quote my minister who said this during his visit recently, is a tectonic shift. A tectonic shift for the kingdom, but a tectonic shift in several circles, if you want. For the kingdom, of course, it shows a very clear goal where the kingdom wants to head in all different aspects. I don't have to mention them here. In the region, it has a very big impact because suddenly Saudi Arabia becomes a much more engaged actor, politically speaking, economically speaking, in all different kinds of fields. Internationally, so if we go to an even larger circle, also there. On the multilateral level, whether it's in New York, it's in Geneva, it's in Vienna, you have, of course, an engagement. Suddenly Saudi Arabia is coming up, politically speaking, defines itself differently. So overall, I think it is, by now, it has been a success story. And I believe that each country should have something like a Vision 2030, because you have to look ahead. The future is ahead of us. And I think Saudi Arabia did the right thing in defining such a vision. You know, this is part of our daily job. First and foremost, I would like to quote a dear friend of mine, member of the royal family, who said, it's always very difficult to strengthen and to make a relationship even better if we have already a good relationship. And I think he's very right. Nevertheless, of course, we are tireless in our efforts. And this goes for both ways. Because also my dear colleague in Vienna is very active, and we work very, very much together. On a weekly basis, we call each other, we look how we can do it. Now, there's a lot of mechanisms, of course. One is that you build solid foundations in terms of memorandum of understanding, for example. The second thing is that you install people who help you and you reach out, which goes beyond government circles. For example, we will have a lecturer at university here who is very important because this is a very strong link, culturally speaking, but also a different level of communication. And thirdly, of course, it is the exchange of high-ranking politicians and ministers. So here we have, over the past, I have to say 2 years, because the pandemic froze the whole thing a little bit, an enormous success. So on average, every second month, we have either a high-ranking Saudi politician traveling to Austria, or we have someone here.
الاستثمارات السعودية في النمسا والاستثمارات النمساوية في السعودية يعني تشجع على النمو، وتشجع في دعم التعاون الاقتصادي، وحتى التعاون التجاري يتزايد مع زيادة التعاون الاستثماري. وهناك الواقع مجموعة من الاستثمارات السعودية في النمسا والاستثمارات النمساوية في المملكة لا يحضرني الآن قيمها، ولكنها لا شك أن النمسا من ضمن الدول المستقبلة للاستثمارات السعودية كثيرا، سواء كانت حكومية أو قطاع خاص. ولا ننسى كذلك يعني مجموعة أخرى من الأمور المصاحبة للتعاون الاقتصادي، مثلا السياحة جزء رئيسي جدا من يمثل السائح السعودي في الواقع يمثل 60% من السياح العرب الذين يذهبون إلى النمسا، ونحن الآن في السعودية كذلك في مراحلنا الأولى بالنسبة لتنمية الاستثمار في المملكة. بالإضافة إلى ذلك هناك يعني اهتمامات كبيرة من الشركات اللي مسوية للعمل في المملكة، وفي الطفرة الأولى وما لحق ذلك.
Oh, here I have to say something a bit emotional, because it is my last 10 months. I have to leave next summer after more than 10 years of service here at our embassy in the kingdom. And you know, once you have to leave, and we diplomats, we are used to it, to say goodbye, because we usually change at the rhythm of 4 years. But I think it's going to be much more complicated this time, after a decade, which also allowed me to really penetrate society, to gain true friends, which are with you. It's not going to be easy. So after all, I would say a very, very big thank you, and I would very much hope that I will have the opportunity to come back as often as it's possible. Of course, you can keep in touch with people or new media, etc. This is not a problem, but it makes a difference whether you are physically there and you can say, well, you know, let's grab a cup of coffee and have a nice exchange. But the memories I collected here throughout my now 26 years of career are, and I'm very honest, certainly so far the best I had. And this is something I would also like to say to my friends here in the kingdom.